Hi, Alex.
Hi. I just hit record because sometimes we say funny and interesting things and we didn't record it. And right now, because I have the monthly plan upgraded, we can record whatever we want, how long ever we want. And
Oh, that's so nice because then we can also maybe cut some of the stuff and just add it to our social media and not even include it in the episode if it doesn't really fit in.
yeah, yeah, sure. It's so nice hearing you say we can cut. What about your profession as a cutter?
Yeah,
Mm?
it's the same when you're with your parents and you're like, we need new coffee, and then
Yeah.
my message is, I'm not going to buy it. Can you buy it and have it in the back of your head? Although you're not even consuming the coffee, but I will. Yeah.
Yep. There is this. Let's call it a trick when you live in a flat in an apartment with other people. It doesn't matter if it's a partner, a friend, or family, and you always have those situations where there is something that has to be done, and nobody wants to say, "I will do it. I will be responsible for that," but saying somebody has to. And there is this trick that you just invent a fictional person, give her or him a name. Mine, for example, is Thomas, and Thomas is responsible for everything. Thomas didn't wash the dishes. Thomas
But
didn't
is this
buy new
happening
coffee.
in just your head, or do you share
No,
this
no,
with
you,
the?
you share this. So when you're with your family, with your spouse, whatever, you just use this person to be responsible for everything. So you argue less. Everybody
Ah,
knows who
Bobby
did the.
didn't clean the room.
Yes, I mean,
That's
basically, I mean, let's say we both live together, and you were responsible for cleaning up, I don't know, the dining room after we had an event, but you didn't do it. And then I can say, Thomas didn't clean up the room. And then you say, ah, damn it, Thomas. Yes, Thomas, don't do that again. Thomas, clean up right now. It takes a bit the bad energy out
yeah.
of the relationship in between the both of us, and just puts it to Thomas. It only gets awkward when Thomas is responsible for everything.
Yeah, and if nobody acts on behalf of Thomas, because still at the end you have to do it. But yeah, I really like to picture a little Dobby in the corner of this room now and just holding me accountable for the stuff I have to do.
That's good. That's great. Perfect. Okay.
How was your weekend? What did you do last night?
I was struggling with the compensation of the last days because I worked a lot. I had lots of fun, but unfortunately, I caught only a few hours of sleep every night, and at least from 1 p.m. to 7 or something like this. So I was quite tired. And I used the Saturday to recover, to read, to prepare for the podcast today and for the upcoming interviews. And yesterday night, I went to the cinema and I watched The Fall Guy. Do you know the story of The Fall Guy?
Absolutely not. I've not been to the cinema in probably a year. Last thing I watched was Barbie, and it was so weird to sit with so many people in one room because after COVID, I think we're just not really used to it anymore.
And you went to Barbie, one of the most successful movies, I guess, of the last months. I went to The Fall Guy, and it caught some bad attention because basically The Fall Guy, the movie with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, tells the story,
Ah.
or is kind of a follow up on the series of the 1980s, where Lee Majors was playing a stuntman, and he had two friends, Howie, his cousin, and Jody, his very good friend, and they were kind of a stunt team on the film set. And in addition, they were, what is the translation for Kopfgeldjäger? Headhunters?
Yeah.
So they were looking for people who just ran away from jail and stuff like that. Stuff like that. Very, very popular, very famous. Lee Majors grow a huge personal brand on this series. And then in 2024, there was this movie, Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, and a lot of bad press beforehand because they were saying it's a bad thing. It's not a replacement or even a follow up of the series. And Lee Majors would just throw up watching this and stuff like that. And funny enough, it was just the two of us in the cinema. There was another couple coming after 10 minutes or something, but so four people were watching this in this huge cinema. And it was so much fun. This movie was so funny. And I have a very good friend of mine in my head, Sophie. She's a friend of Emily Blunt. She likes Emily Blunt. I guess she's a fan of Ryan Gosling because he's well trained. And there is a specific scene where Ryan Gosling is sitting in a car and singing Taylor Swift. So she would
Oh,
absolutely
what a
love it.
combination.
Yeah, so you combine the power of every peer group you can get, like Emily
Yeah.
Blunt, Ryan Gosling, and Taylor Swift. So yeah, I can highly recommend it. I loved the movie. It was very, very, very funny. So had a nice evening, and yeah, today is the time of our podcast. It's no booze time, no booze news time. We will wrap up the week on alcohol-free drinks, and of course, we will talk about the alcohol-free wine fest, the first alcohol-free wine fest in German, if not on the planet, in a second. So have fun with the
Busy
episode, I
week.
would say. The only thing that is missing is the knob where I can just hit right now and then it plays our intro and then we just go on in the recordings. But we have
Let's
time to
leave
do that
something for the
for
future.
later. Yeah, we put it to Thomas the Cutter because Thomas will cut the
Yeah,
episode.
he's such a great guy. He has so many talents and skills. I'm so
Mhm.
thankful for everything that he does.
Yeah, I will tell him. And he says thank you. Welcome, 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 all you curious people, no boozers, and wine lovers, to the 8th episode of Double O, your weekly go-to show about non-alcoholic products in the podcast universe. What are we up to today?
First of all, Alex, let me pitch to you an idea. What do you think about adding one sober celebrity name every episode to just show that there are so many sober celebrities? I was so surprised when I read about it. And it can be a great just inspiration for the people out there who who think, oh, Miley Cyrus is probably living her best life partying all the time, while no, she's not. Plot
But she
twist.
sings about it.
Yeah, and it's so weird because also in German hip hop, German rap, like the latest songs from rappers, like also female rappers in coming from Germany, they're singing, rapping so much about having a drink, having like a boozy night out, making the wrong decisions. It's like they are romanticizing it. So weird. And I don't know why, but maybe I got also more aware of it. But I'm just like, strange. And then you see the total opposite.
Still seem to be cool, and I guess that many people, especially celebrities, might be a bit more under especially public pressure than people like us. And if you have to deal with some private issues, probably the alcohol is a good way to flee to, and then they get problems with it. I don't know.
Yeah, so let's do that. I will
I like
add
the idea.
one sobriety focused person each week. And yeah, that brings us to our very first article, which is where I got the idea from. And Anne Hathaway, the famous actress, Oscar winning actress, she has two kids. And she recently just shared the news that she has been sober for 5 years now, and that she also committed to staying sober for another 18 years. And the reason behind that was that she said she just turned to meetings with a bad hangover, and she just wasn't really ready and being her full potential, and nobody really noticed it. But then from the next meeting on, the person that she opened to and said, yeah, I was not really myself, I was having a bad hangover, then the next time that person was like, ah, yeah, now today I got it. And so yeah, it was just repeating. And then she said she doesn't want to be that example for her kids, and she doesn't want to be that mom that drives her son to school and is not fully aware. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And this
Hmm.
happened 2 years ago. And they just came out with that. When is the article
She quit
from? Yeah, the
drinking
end of April.
2019 already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she just recently announced it. She also kept it a secret. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess even especially when you struggle with it, I can imagine that they will have a look if it's working for them, and if it worked out, of course, you would carry it out to the public to be kind of a blueprint for other people. Yeah,
Mhm.
cool. I like the section. I like the idea. How do we call it? Booze-free person,
Or
booze-free
sober
celeb,
celebrity.
sober celebrity.
Sober
It's good for
celeb.
Spanish. Sober celeb, sober celeb. Okay, take this one. Mhm.
Locked in. What else? What's happening with the on the brand side of life?
Oh, there were amazing news this week, actually, and news that is, I guess, always already. Yeah, it's 2 weeks old because I had it on Pinot Pixel as well. We often hear stories about alcohol brands sponsoring big sports events. For example, the combination of beer and football, soccer is a huge thing in the UK. There's many spirits brands that work with the NBA, with the NHL in the US. And 2 weeks ago, there was a deal announced between InBev, so the huge drinks company, and the Olympic Games. And the interesting part is that we are not talking about beer or other stuff with booze. We talk about alcohol-free beer. So the Corona Zero will be the major beer to drink at the Olympic Games. And it's super interesting because, I mean, the origin of InBev is Belgium, and it's a beer country. And of course, they still have other companies under the umbrella of InBev, especially in Belgium, like beer brewers. And there's an interesting interview with a Belgian brewer, and he says it totally changed, yeah, because 20 or 30 years ago it was more a case of increasing the alcohol content to give people more alcohol with beer, and right now we're reducing, or even offering alcohol free versions. And there is people still, after 30 years of, let's say, maturity in the markets, there is still no good alcohol free beer. I guess it's super subjective. I've tasted very few because I'm not a beer fan, but every now and then there was a good alcohol free beer. And I don't know what are your experiences with alcohol free beer.
I actually don't drink any beer at all except for at Oktoberfest. That's why I'm probably the worst judge to that. But what I wanted to add is that I found it so strange all the time when there were sports events such as the Olympics or tennis Grand Prix or stuff like that. And then they had these huge alcohol advertisements. And everybody knows that a person that is really into sports and that is like having training 8 hours a day to prepare for a really huge competition, that this person is not going to touch alcohol, at least not not a lot of not a lot of evenings. And yeah, I get it, it's for the people that are watching it, but still there's this dissonance. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's such a great development.
I had a short chat with a person at the OMR festival in Hamburg because there was Lucky Strike as one of the exhibitors, and Glow, the company that makes this, I don't know how to put it, artificial smoking stuff. So it's not a cigarette, it's this, basically it looks like you're smoking a pencil.
Oh yeah, the one that
um,
only contains nicotine.
what is the name? Vaping.
Ah.
Vaping. So it was a vaping company, and I was so surprised that those two companies were at the fair, because to me, I mean, if there's Aperol or something, it's okay, but to have a cigarette brand and a vapor brand at an event like this, it was a bit of a surprise to me. And then I asked, why is that? Because I don't get it connected in my head. It's the same with, why is there a tequila brand sponsoring the US Open in tennis, as you just said it? And then they
Yeah.
said exactly the same that you said. It's not about the sports people, it's about or the sportsmen and women taking part in the competition. It's about the people who watch it. And this is usually
Mhm.
people like this drinking, or it's the people smoking and working in business going to a fair on marketing.
Yeah.
It's a bit unfortunate, but as you said, this is a good development. And if I get it right, I have a Corona Zero in my fridge because I bought it yesterday. Damn it, I
Yeah,
could
and
have
you
brought.
also did a product test that you shared on social media. I think it was Carlsberg that was really convincing for you.
Oh, this was super interesting because I was at the in Hamburg last week, and I had 2 hours to spend at this station, and I had Carlsberg zero point zero from the keg, 50 liters keg. It was good. It was tasty. It had this body, this feeling, everything that I would expect from a normal beer, and it also had this malty and slightly bitter taste. And then 1 week later, I had the exact same beer out of a bottle of a 300, what is it, 330 milliliters bottle, and it
Mhm.
was totally different. This was how I would expect a thin version of a beer, or let's say a normal alcohol-free beer. It was super interesting how the difference was.
So maybe that is why everyone tells you there is no good alcohol-free beer. Maybe it's just the way that it is served or poured. Maybe we should all have
Could
a
be.
keg at home.
Yes, and if you talk to gastronomy, especially in Scandinavia, for example, they are going more also with wine to this keg thing because it's more sustainable. You use less glasses. It's fresher for a couple of days, and maybe also it changes the taste, especially with beer. I don't know the science behind it, but this was definitely my personal experience. But I wanted to show you something different. Look at this. They had their own covers for the beer. So what you put on the table and then
Nice.
you put the beer on it.
Yeah.
It's
Full
beautiful.
full circle, full picture.
Yes,
They thought of everything.
in addition, it's to me this is a good marketing tool because this is what I
Mhm.
thought about it in the evening when you have this on the table the whole evening, drinking your beer out of a glass, and usually the waiter or the waitress uses it to just draw lines for I don't know the
Yeah.
amount of alcohol-free beers you drank. This is a perfect marketing surface. Maybe we should use this for double O.
Yeah, because even if people drink alcoholic beverage, but they see this thing like 20 times or how many drinks they are having, and they see it and they subconsciously just save it in their heads, and it does something. It's like pure brand marketing or like consumer psychology.
Yes. So I would check out how much a beer mat for double O it might be, and then we can use it for mocktails, alcohol-free wine, and alcohol-free beer.
Awesome. And if you're a
Uh,
brand listening to this, just
yes, think about it.
be inspired. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be something totally different because I don't know any wine brand that uses beer mats to for marketing or anything. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Talking about wine brands, I told you the story already 2 weeks ago when I was in Alsace with my parents. I visited Hugel. And Hugel, quite famous winery in Alsace, they had this April Fool's Day joke where they published on April 1st a picture of their. We had this on the pod as well in the Nobus News of their Riesling with a zero point 0.0 on the label saying, hey, we will have the first alcohol free Riesling from Alsace. And 1 day later, they posted the exact same picture with the smiley saying, oh, sorry, guys, it was just a joke. And I used this to go to their shop and say, hey guys, my name is Alex and I want to buy 2 cases of your alcohol free Riesling. And they didn't get that it was a joke. So they say, sorry, but this was just marketing. And then I was lucky enough to have the winemaker in the shop to that time. And then we had a short chat. And basically, what he told me is almost the same content of this article that was published April 30th. The only true alcohol-free alternative to wine is water. And this is what Udell tells us. They say, we love our wine, we love our tradition. Alsace is known for famous Rieslings, for great Rieslings. And it's not only tough to find a way to have an alcohol-free version of wine that tastes very similar. So they want to imitate wine, which is basically just a small percentage of people expecting that. But in addition, and this was quite interesting to me in the interview as well, he's told me that in his eyes, it's not very sustainable to produce alcohol free wine because in the end, you have grape juice, you put it through fermentation, then you have a a wine, a finished product, and then you take another process and remove the alcohol again to get a product without alcohol. And this feels a bit awkward. And of course, there are many resources put in that there might be an easier way to produce that. And this is what he says: it's not sustainable. It's not the taste we would expect. So we won't do that even in the near future, because I asked him, will this change if people will start asking for it and you are a famous brand? Because it, and then it totally makes sense. And then he said no. And in this article, he added, water is the only useful alternative, alcohol free alternative to wine. Have you
I
ever
don't agree
tried?
with the last sentence, but I think the rest, fair enough. That's his view, and he's. I mean, he's correct that it's using a lot of resources, and that we should find a way where we can enhance the technology in a way that doesn't doesn't use as many resources, and maybe will also make it less pricey. But we are not there yet, and I think we can only progress if we move forward in any direction. And just saying, have a glass of water instead, I think that excludes a lot of people that can't or don't want to drink wine. And yeah, what is that like saying about the brand if it is just, yeah, excluding people? That's just not, that's just what I don't really like about these approaches and these statements.
And I mean,
Ollie.
we already talked about this, and this will come up way more often, I guess, because it's basically the same with talking about veganism or becoming a vegetarian. You need those transition products. People, human
Exactly.
beings, don't like changes. They hate it, and if they
Yeah.
have to change, they would rather have a kind of a pathway where they see, okay, I can adapt a bit more, a bit more, a bit more, and then in the end, I jump over to a completely new beverage, for example. But right now, alcohol-free wine is a good transition.
And those wineries that at least try it or that try to be part of the movement, they are on the forefront of it. While like Hugel, they are a big brand now, and this is also something that could leave them behind.
It depends on what peer group you sell to, and if you are a big brand in a big market. Diageo would be stupid if they won't jump on this train. Constellation brands would be stupid. I mean, they. It's not only about the romantic part of producing and selling wine. It's a business model in the end. And if you are a big brand, and when we talk about big brand, I'm more talking about people who are companies that are available in retail and supermarkets. You have to do that because it's part of business, it's part of culture, it's part of the movement. Totally fine. If a traditional producer of great Alsatian wines such as Hugel decides not to do this at the moment, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Mm.
Maybe in the future they will discover something different because, for example, they say, I don't know, we harvest at the beginning of August, we make a verjus, we add some CO2, and we have an alcohol-free alternative we can put into our portfolio, we can offer to our clients that has never had any alcohol. Let's see. It's tougher in Alsace because it's so hot over there that even if you harvest earlier, the sugar levels are also
Mm.
already quite high. Maybe the acidity is lower. But let's see what will come in the future. They have muscat. They have great muscat in Alsace, and this is a grape that is very suitable for the alcoholization.
You just mentioned Diageo. I think it's a UK
Yes.
brand. It's comparable, I would say, with AB InBev. And they are also producing a lot of spirits and beer and other alcoholic brands. And in their portfolio, they already have a de-alcoholized gin or non-alcoholic gin. And now their most recent product is their famous rum, Captain Morgan. They basically produced a spiced gold 0% alcohol free spirit, which is available all over Europe. So you can also buy it at Lidl in Germany. I just checked it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. hmm But we checked their ingredients, And it's basically just water, a lot of aromas and coloring, sweeteners to get that caramel and that spiciness. It's still it's pricey for that, yeah, ingredients, but it will definitely be a great alcohol-free version of rum with cola.
And as we had it, I guess with the last time with the big brand and spirits and alcohol-free spirit, when you're a big brand, it's easier to sell this kind of stuff because you already have people that like the normal version. They are familiar with the taste, with this caramel vanilla flavor you have in the mouth as well. And then if you produce a product like this, the only question I have of this product is, where does the body come from? Because when you drink this purely, you have this, I would say, sweet and creamy feeling, because alcohol also gives you this feeling of sweetness in the mouth, on the palate. But this is just water and spices, preservatives, and sweetener. So this is basically infused water, and it just I imagine it just very thin.
Do you know these? I think it's Ringlies, these cinnamon spicy chewing gums. I
Yeah.
don't know if they still exist, but do you remember that spiciness in your mouth? Maybe they use something like that, or they should use something like that, that cinnamon spiciness, because I think that would work very well.
So, but this also means to me that this is more made for mocktails instead of being consumed purely.
Yeah, definitely. But I think you would also, okay, yeah, you would probably drink rum purely, but for most people, if you go to a bar or at the club, you can have it with lime and something, or yeah, within a cocktail.
And I mean, we're talking about the broad, so, or the majority of the market that is interested in alcohol-free spirits and cocktails. They say, I drink it in a mix, in a ready to drink, in a cocktail, whatever, and I'm not interested in drinking it purely. It's a small niche that does it. And when you talk to bartenders, they always say this is a shitty product because you can't drink it purely, especially with gin. But maybe it's just not made for that.
Yeah,
The good thing
I
is,
mean, who is drinking gin purely? I
oh,
don't
there
know
is.
anyone.
When you
Gin
have a good
purely
one,
on ice.
sure. No, purely, not on ice. If you want the really the taste, the enjoyment of very well chosen botanicals, and you have this quality feeling, the texture, the complexity in your mouth, you like that? There is products with alcohol, and probably people drinking stuff like this also expect that from alcohol-free spirits. The good thing is that this product has never had any alcohol at all. So it's alcohol free, it's problem free, I won't say, but yeah, whatever the sweetness do to your blood sugar level. But there is discussions in the Netherlands at the moment due to the fact that there is different definitions of what is alcohol free. What does alcohol free mean? And when you just compare some countries in Europe, for example, in the Netherlands, alcohol free means 0.1%. The normal rules is 0.5, for example, when you go to Germany, to Austria. But there is also Spain or Italy where they say alcohol free is less than 1.2, maybe because they have, I don't know, more products with higher alcohol levels, such as Amarone or no, I don't know. But the problem is when you are in the Dutch market and you're a customer that is looking for alcohol-free products, there's a huge range what you can get between zero point 0.0 and 1.2 alcohol. So, for example, if you are, especially when it gets into this health considering part, when you're pregnant, when you have a health problem with alcohol, it could be
Mm,
dangerous to drink
mm.
alcohol-free products from Italy or from Spain. So the brewers want stricter rules for alcohol-free drinks that are at least accountable or working for the Netherlands. But maybe it would be a good thing to set this up for Europe in general, just to have a basic, a general understanding of what alcohol-free really means. And I mean, you conducted the interviews during the Weinfest on Thursday. And I guess you also asked for the motives, for the reasons why people don't drink. And I guess there were also questions such as, what do you think about drinking alcohol-free stuff when you're pregnant, or when you stop drinking at all, when you try to become sober? It's a huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there was also one girl that she celebrated her
Bachelorette.
bride, yeah, her bachelorette, and she couldn't drink because she was pregnant. And then other people, like, yeah, maybe in their 40s, 50s, that were still very dynamic, very young, but they just couldn't drink or didn't want to drink anymore. And yeah, so there were a lot of interesting backgrounds as to why people don't consume alcohol anymore. And some of them were just taking a pause from it and maybe drink next week again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting in terms of the audience.
Before I ask you what your general experience and feeling was at the Weinfest, I just want to go back to this bachelorette party. This was one of the most interesting, funny groups I have seen during this fest. And for me, they were also kind of a blueprint, because I mean, there was the bride was pregnant and they were celebrating their bachelorette party. You can expect saying, I don't know, she just drinks alcohol-free stuff and the others could drink alcohol. But all of them were truly convinced and proud to not drink alcohol. They said, no, we don't need alcohol. We just have this party. They were there until 10, I guess, in the evening. They had party, and then they said, no, we just go home to a hotel. We had an amazing day. We had a lot of fun. We were dancing in the night, and then party's over. It was so cool. And by the way, if
Mm.
you're listening to this, Hannah, you didn't win our competition. Because Hannah, one of the ladies, was like, shall I stay here? Because I think I will win. No, Hannah, sorry for that. You didn't win. But thanks for staying. So, what was your feeling? What was your experience, generally speaking, during the Weinfest?
Oh, I really, really loved it. So I was walking around interviewing people. RTL, Pro7, if you need a new person in front of the camera, I'm so up for that. I really loved it. And I just asked approximately same questions, like, what are your motives? What are you here? Why are you here today? What do you expect from the evening? And do you think that you can also have fun without drinking alcohol? And in summary, everyone agreed that it doesn't depend on the level of alcohol or the alcohol in general to have a good time or to enjoy yourselves, but it depends on your own mindset and the company. And you really felt that. It was such a great, inclusive, and fun and nice event. It was such a lively atmosphere. It was so great, like the interaction between the people, because it was mixed in all ages. So young people, but then also people, yeah, that usually go to a wine fest. And to see them in this whole dynamic was just beautiful to see, and to really experience that without the influence of everything that blocks you or that numbs you or that makes you sometimes, yeah, just see everything more colorful, because that wasn't necessary. It was just a great evening by itself, because we had a beautiful band. They were, I think music is also such an important factor when it comes to making an evening enjoyable and counting for people. So that was a huge checkbox. And yeah, the overall feeling and the resonance was just beautiful. And I think one person said that he likes to drink also for the experience, at least one or two glasses, to be more outgoing, etc. But the rest, they were all like, no, you don't need that. And of course we sometimes like to drink, but it's not missing at all. What was
And
your your feeling, or how did you like it?
Just to add one thing up to this, because this is a comment we will hear a lot more in the future, because it's quite common to say that. The moment when you say, I try to talk to a person or I try to dance in public without any influence on alcohol, it gets you a way more intense feeling of a hype, of energy, than
Mhm.
with alcohol, because alcohol just lowers your threshold for doing something.
Mhm.
But in the end, you still need the bravery to do that. But if you do this without alcohol, the level of excitement is way higher, and then you can
Yeah.
get, as I said, high on life. Yeah. And I mean, we saw people dancing. This was quite surprising to me, actually. There were so many people dancing and having fun together and enjoying. And I mean, of course, they sit together, they talk to each other, they enjoy stuff. And of course, there were also people that tried to compare the wine without alcohol to the wine with alcohol and say, yeah, it doesn't taste like that. But if you just put your brain away, as we always say it, and it's a different beverage, it's totally fine. Just to give you guys some numbers, there were over 500 visitors. Depending on the source you read, sometimes they talk about 600, sometimes they talk about 800. We both were responsible also for the entrance and our little questionnaire we had. Have you ever had any alcohol-free wine before? And we had 430 people taking part in that, and almost 60% said that they have tried alcohol-free wine. And this is, I would say, quite an experienced audience for such a wine fest. And I would put most of them on the other side, so the 40+% to the more curious people, and the 60% that had it, either on this let's go for some more, or there were also, if I don't know if you can remember the lady who said everything we tasted so far was shit, and right now we want to find something tasty. And in the end, I met her again, and she said, yeah, that was good. So it was
Oh.
fun. Yeah. And it was also very successful for Double O. We have 62 new subscribers to our newsletter, which is a conversion rate of almost 15%. That's crazy. I'm really looking forward to send our newsletter out for the first time. And then, of course, we had many answers to the question we asked: what do you think about when do you no what is it what do you combine with alcohol-free drinks or alcohol-free wine? But we haven't reviewed that. We will do this in the future and get back to you with the responses. But there were some interesting things I spotted why people choose not to drink or choose to drink alcohol-free wine. Super interesting. So yeah, it was a huge success. It was fun. It was a lot of work as well. It was so cool to have so many people over there and drink, and to make this transition to the drink of the week. Of course, we chose Senso for our drink of the week. This is the Riesling, and I chose the Riesling because just hedonic, but it was the wine that got the, I would say, most positive feedback, because people said, "Oh, this reminds me of my favorite wine. I'm used to drink Sauvignon, Silvaner, or Riesling, and this one is quite aromatic. It has the acidity, it has some body, and I like to drink this kind of stuff." Can you remember the taste of the Riesling?
I didn't drink it this time, but I've drank it. I've dra- I drank.
Drink it.
I drank it before. Oh my god. I remember it. It was very similar to Riesling, to the usual version. But you've attended the Weinfest also the next day when they also
Yeah.
poured alcoholic wine. Did
Yes.
you have a chance to compare it to the original product, like the OG Riesling?
No, I didn't, because I guess there is no Riesling in the portfolio
Ah,
of the
yeah.
winery dumps. But I had an amazing Silvaner to try. It's a
Hmm.
late harvest one, which has slightly saltiness, but this is another topic for another podcast. But what I also had the chance to is to ask some people what they think of alcohol-free products, of alcohol-free wine, and I used the possibilities to observe the differences between the 2 days, the alcohol-free wine fest and the general wine fest. And I guess it was twice the people. There were almost 1,000 people at the wine fest with alcohol. It started at 5 as well, and 6:30 the first people were standing in the queue of the toilet, dancing, slightly drunk like this. And of course, due to the fact that alcohol lowers this threshold of doing things, people start dancing on the tables, they start making out with each other in the vineyards, and it's just another thing. And if you are a fan of the alcohol-free wine fest and this was your first wine fest ever, and then you come the second day to the normal one, it's a culture shock. It's just the total opposite. People are just crazy, and like this, there's this slight aggressiveness in the air. Nothing happened, but
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes when people are not under control, they're a bit like, "Hey man, there's a problem." You don't have that at the alcohol-free wine fest, but nevertheless, 2 really interesting days. The comparison was amazing. The people were amazing, and of course, we collected many content and to share with you. But we wanted to talk about the Riesling. As I said, I would say the most successful product on Thursday. It reminds you, even reminds you in the nose of a Riesling, maybe more this cool climate Rieslings that are more on this appley, unripe peachy side. So it's quite fruity, like fresh green apple. It's more the dominant aroma. And on the palate, this product has this super fresh, intense, juicy acidity you would expect from a Riesling, but not in this sharp, sticky way, what you sometimes have from really dry Rieslings. I would rather compare this to a cabinet. So when you like cabinet Riesling, so with some residual sugar, 15 to 20 grams, this is your alternative to go because it's super juicy, easy drinking. There is a balance between the alcohol, the alcohol. There's a balance between
Are you
the
sure you're
acidity.
drinking, Senso?
Maybe it's the wrong drink, and I already put it over my laptop. I have to clean it up. Damn it. There is a balance between the acidity and the sugar, and this is what I really like about that product. You have the body, so there is this slightly creamy feeling of the sugar. It's 37 grams per liter in sugar, so 3.7 on 100 milliliters, and there is enough acidity to give this fresh feeling. And this is even something you cannot only drink on the terrace, but you can pair with, I don't know, seafood, with fish, with grilled vegetables, maybe with even with cheese when you need the acidity to balance the fat in the cheese. So nice product, interesting product. The retail price is, what is it, 18? Yeah, 18 euros. And I don't know if you're looking for something, an alcohol-free alternative to your Rieslings, definitely a wine to go. And also for gastronomy, wine and food pairing, highly
Does
recommended.
it have that hinge of petrol?
Usually, when Riesling is normally grown, so it's not too hot in the vineyards, you normally have this petrol after several years of development. There's very few Rieslings, for example, from Southern Australia, where it's so hot that right after bottling, you even have this sense of petrol because it was just too hot. But normally 3, 5 years, something like this in the bottle, and then you get this petrol stuff. And I mean, this is 6 months old or something. It's not meant to be stored in the cellar. I mean, I will definitely put a case of every good alcohol-free wine I know for the next years, just to do this hedonic research on how the development might be. But why should I store this stuff? I don't know.
Safe to say there weren't any babies that came out of the Senso non-alcoholic wine fest, but maybe the next day.
We don't know, actually. Could be.
I didn't see any any couples hanging around in the vineyards.
Yeah, to be fair, it was separated. I mean, the wine fest of the alcohol-free wine fest ended with the beginning of the vineyards, and I guess
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
wanted to stay with the, as you put it, beautiful band. I guess you mean the front singer. I don't know.
And the drummer.
And okay, the drummer. It's always the drummer, isn't it? So yeah. To wrap this up, it was an amazing event. I'm really looking forward to the next one. If anybody listening that started following us during the Wine Fest, thank you so much for that. It was an amazing experience to share this moment with you. We're really looking forward to everything that's coming up.
And for anyone that didn't subscribe, wow, subscribe to our newsletter yet, and you want to be in, then just hop on the link in our show notes and also in our Instagram. We will share great stories, and we will be. I love the expression of being high on life, because what is there anything better than that, than being high on life? So let's all be high on life, dear Double O community. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and start your week right by making conscious decisions.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.